James Renouf here and Mark Gannon for yet another video relating to the IEEPA tariff refunds. In each of our videos, we try and talk about another aspect of what's important to know and recognize when it comes to getting these refunds. And a big term that you will see a lot is called an HTS code. And an HTS code effectively, and Mark will define that, and Mark will talk about some of the things that it represents. But the HTS code, in my understanding, is basically like a barcode. That is a barcode that is used that when these imported goods come in, that barcode is scanned, and that barcode being scanned allows effectively the government to recognize what the goods were that were imported. Therefore, of all the different codes that relate to these refunds that they're saying you can get these refunds back, that's an important point. Just like it's important to recognize that these IEPA refunds exist, it's also important to recognize what an ACE account is, which we talked about in another video. It's important to recognize what an HTS code is. So effectively, there are certain types of goods that have those tariffs that you can get refunds for. So that's something that we wanted to talk about and define in this video. Mark?
Thanks, James. G'day, everyone. Okay, so what is a HTS code and why is it important to getting your IEPA tariff refund? So HTS stands for Harmonized Tariff Schedule. Try and say that 5 times quickly. So what it does, it identifies the item. It's a 10 digit barcode basically. It identifies the item. It decides the tax on the item, and it tells the rules. So in other words, is it uh, a product that falls under the IEPA regime? So just so you're aware, the IEPA was the unconstitutional tariffs that Trump charged. There are certain codes, HTS codes that fall under this act, the IEPA Act. And I think there's about 161 codes, but these are major imported raw materials or products. And they from certain countries, as example, China, Mexico, Canada. So yeah, it's just a system that the US has put together to standardize how they look at imports. Some of them fall underneath that IEPA regime, some don't. So it's quite complex. It's quite complex. Now, speaking about complexity, is we are not. We always need to say this: we are not lawyers. So what we're giving you is information only. What we strongly suggest that you do is talk to a lawyer, but a specialized lawyer, because this is tariff and trade. Not all lawyers can do it. There's only 150 of them in the States. So yeah, so that's what
Yeah, that's what we
harmonized
have.
tariff
That's
schedule is.
exactly. So that's the thing with all these HTS codes, you might be wondering, well, does my code or codes work for these refunds? There's a lot of questions, and again,
That's the
there's a lot of
problem.
complexity there. And that's where trying to do it on your own often can relate can be you can have failure. It could take forever to get the refund. That's why we've partnered up with this specific top 10 lawyer firm so that they know exactly what needs to happen. They know exactly with your situation what codes would work with those refunds, and you can get the money instead of waiting years potentially to fighting a court case to getting it in a matter of weeks. So bottom line is we have a link below. Click that link, and that takes 30 seconds to a minute to fill out. We'll have a representative call you, no cost to get on the call, and they can get you down the path, the right path to go over those refunds and get those refunds because that's really in the end what matters. The more that you can be educated on the process, the better, and that's what we're trying to do with these videos. But in the end, in our opinion, the best thing to do is to be with a specialized lawyer that can make this done properly. So bottom line is click on the link, fill it out below, and get on your way to receiving the IEPA tariff refund.